It's completely covered over. Nobody uses the water.
As far as I know, there's no access down into that, any open spot here. I read actually a letter by the individual who lived here, and I'm not sure if that's what caused him to cover it up. But this was open for years after it was that water supply. He heard some children screaming and wound up coming down here and pulling some kids out of there, because what he did to keep it clean was to brick the walls, around the side of it, so this sort of cistern was clean. So that probably still exists down there, but I don't know that there's any access or how they covered it up 40, 50 years ago, whenever they would have dealt with that.
You know where the water was flowing to? Is it going also into the Snake River?
No, ultimately I'm sure that it did, but it isn't even named, and the only stuff I've read about it is his writings about it, so.
So
yeah.
the dam that's in that picture, where exactly was it?
That dam would have been, so you see here, here's a close-up of that. The dam is along the end of the mud hole. So essentially it's where that burr is now. Okay, you see that little hill, and that's where the water is right now. So the mud hole is pretty much, it was much longer.
Whole area
Yes, it was
the river.
True, well, the river, yes. So the mud hole would have extended across on a burr, and this would have been, actually this is a photograph of that dam on that burr. Here, yeah, this finally came down in about 1906 or 1907. I think it was damaged one year. I saw that they paid about $26 to fix it. The next year it got damaged so badly that it did come down. And at this point they are thinking of converting this into, because this is just simply somebody's private property and the mill isn't even working anymore, so it's sort of left to its own devices. This is when the town, and we'll get into this story on another stop or two, the town begins to look at this parkway as a resource for the town, and winds up making sure that the property on either side of the Third River isn't bought by private people, that the town begins to purchase it. I'm going to show you two buildings that were built in 1909, so right around this time, that alerted the town. Actually, the Bank of Nutley that we're going to look at, the one that's right across from the Freeland House, is a little too close to the river for the town fathers at the time, and that's what got them really thinking Vincent Methodist Church as well. What if everybody built along the river? We wouldn't have this beautiful park. So it was then that they began to take action and buy up property that we're standing on now, and that's when they would have done the repairs and turned this into that.
If we were to jaunt back in time right now, would we be in the water?
It's tough to tell. I would say the end of that is generally where we are. If it's 20 feet further, I'm not positive. I think we would not be at this point, but we'd be awfully close.
So the path right there, would that have been underwater?
Yes, and again, there would not have even been Greenland, so the field would have extended a bit further that way. But with this...
So this river was much bigger than it is today.
Yes, and if you look at the river as it goes through the town, through maps over the last 100 years, almost every 20 years or so, they're different. So where Yannicor Park is now, where the Essex, where the basketball courts are, that's a county park. That was actually done before these. If you look in the 1940s, that's got a huge pond as big as this, right in the middle of it. If you look 50 years before, it simply was a river, but then it was dammed so that it could turn a mill wheel. And then years later, they wound up flooding it again so that it was a nice lake for a park. A child actually died in there. So in the 50s, they came through, and it's now the stream again. So it's different at different times for different reasons.
So that kind